Yes, all right, it worked. All right, I got it together. I just need to stop that other one. Okay, there we go. There it is. So, all right, so 16 voters, 3 candidates. Okay, these are called preference ballots. So the first idea we get is about voting and how it might be done, how we might use math to help the voting system. What's the point of voting? When you vote in a democratic kind of system, you're trying to determine the will of the people. Like I just determined your will, the will of the crowd here, about the brake situation, right? And I asked you which one you preferred. So I used voting to determine the will of the people. That's the point of voting, right? The goal of voting should be to, as closely as possible, as fairly as possible, determine the will of the people. Like, what do the people want? What do they truly want? Now, if on the surface, if you don't think deeply about it, it might seem like, yeah, I mean, what do you mean? Like a whole chapter on voting? Are you kidding me? The highest wins. You know, I mean, what could be confusing about that? Well, think for a second. Let me just make up a scenario. Before we dive into this particular example, just think with me for a second. What if we just had the Trump-Hillary Clinton thing, huh? Why is my pen not working? Oh, no, is my pen really? I'm having all kinds of problems today. Sorry, guys. Let me see. Yeah, good. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So imagine if Trump and Clinton and I don't even know who were the other candidates. I'll just say candidate X. I have no idea. What if you had an election, okay, and 100 people felt like why don't we do 51 people felt like Trump was their number one, Clinton was their number two, and candidate X was their number three. And 49 people felt like Clinton was their number one, X was their number two, and this person was number three. And 48 people thought that, let's go 50, that's still less, huh? 50 thought that X was their favorite. Okay, yeah. Look at that for example. So what if we had, so what that means is 51, this is the number of people, number of voters. So 51 people, if you ask them, who's your favorite candidate, who's your second, who's your third? Well, now I know we don't do that, at least in our presidential election system. We do that in some other systems when we vote for Rookie of the Year and Olympic cities. There's I'll tell you about some other ways we do voting in other settings in our society that do consider more than just your first choice, second choice. But I know for the national election we don't. But people have feelings nevertheless, even though you don't get to express them, right? What if 51 people felt like Trump was their favorite, Clinton was their second favorite, and whoever, candidate X, the Green Party candidate or whatever, is their third favorite. But 49 people thought that Clinton was their favorite, followed by X person, followed by Trump. And 50 people thought that X was their favorite, right? This means number one is your first choice. Second choice was Clinton. Third choice was Trump, right? Just think about that for a second. What if that had happened? Now, according to our system of voting, the way we do voting for the national election anyway, who would win the election? Trump would win, right? Because Trump got more, because you don't even ask second place, right? What do we do you just cast your vote for who is your first choice. That's all you do. You don't say, but I like this person second and this one third and fourth. You don't give a preference called a preference ballot. You don't give your preferences, do you? You just give your first choice. That's all. And so they wouldn't even see second. They would just know 51 votes, first place for Trump, 49 votes, first place for Clinton, 50 votes, first place for candidate X. Who got the most first place? Trump. Trump wins. So we would give the election to Trump, right? All we would care about, again, is first place. And we'd say Trump, Clinton, X. Trump gets 51, Clinton gets 49, person X gets 50. First place. That's all we do in our system of election. So in our national system anyway. So Trump would win. Trump got the most first place, Trump wins. But if you really think for a second about the will of the people, remember that's the goal. You want to say, who do these people like best? Is it true? This is what, 150 people? It's 150 people. 51 of them, just over 1/3, 51 of them, yeah, they like Trump best. That is true. That is their will. But how about the other almost 100 people, 99 people, 40, 49, and 50? How do the other 40 and 99 people feel about Trump? They don't like him a little, or they don't like him a lot? Yeah, they have Trump as the last place. And I might, we might have 5, like they do in Europe and stuff. They have 5, 6 candidates running for election, right? And maybe I could even expand this and say, okay, here, let me make this more interesting. I could say, this is 4, 5, 6. This is 6, 4, 3, 5. This is 6, 3, 5, 4. So people could say, here's my first choice, second choice. Let me expand that. There's other candidates, X, Y, Z, W, right? Who, if all we care about, maybe that's how people, we don't know. Point is, we have no idea, because we don't ask in our national election how you feel about a whole bunch of the candidates, do we? We don't ask who your favorite is, then your second, then your third, then your fourth, then your fifth. We don't give a preference ballot for the national election. And because we don't, we never get any feelings from people below their first choice. So notice Trump would still win. Trump still has 51 first place votes. Clinton only has 49, and candidate X, only has 50 first place votes. Nobody else has any first place, huh? Notice. Whoops, I'm not doing that very well. Right? Can you guys read this chart okay? Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? Do you know what these numbers are meaning? Like the 4 here means that 51 people feel Y is the 4th best candidate. That's their feeling. And they feel Z is the 5th best and W is the 6th best. Right? So 51 people like Trump best, 49 like Clinton best, 50 like X best. Y, Z, and W are not liked best by anybody, but they're second, third, and fourth, and things like that, right? So anyway, my point is, the way we do the election, Trump would still win with 51 first-place votes, more first-place votes than any other candidate. That's how it we're technically through the Electoral College, but basically that's what it is. And we'll get all into the Electoral College in Chapter 2. But for now, let's just keep it simple. Basically, it's who gets the most from the Electoral College. First place votes, right? And so Trump would get 51 and would win. But stop for a second and look at how the people really feel. Because that's the job of voting, right? Any system of voting is supposed to take the will of the people, take their temperature, so to speak, and say, this is how they feel. This is the will of the people. This is who they like best. Is that really true? They like Trump best? Well, there's more people that like Trump first than any other candidate is liked first. That is true. But 99 people would rather have anybody than Trump. Right? They put Trump dead last. 99 people, almost 2/3 of the crowd, would rather have anybody. And I'm not meaning to pick on Trump. I'm an equal hater. I'm not really a hater of anybody, but I don't think I voted for either one. Anyway, you don't care about my feelings. I'm just giving an example. So 6 and 6, right? Just the last choice for Trump on that one, right? The last choice. That's how they feel. So I'm just saying, if people really feel that way, and we don't know how, because we didn't ask, but if people felt that way, would it be right to say, is it true, to say the will of the people, the person they like best, is really Trump in that case? Yeah, 51 people like Trump a lot, better than anybody else, but 99 people would rather have anybody than Trump. So if 2/3 of the crowd would rather have anybody else, is that really true to say that's the will of the people? It seems like you got to consider more than just your favorite, right? Especially, I'm picking on Trump in particular because he is a divisive kind of candidate. Seems like people love him or hate him. He kind of divides the line. You either love him or hate him, right? So at least that's how it seemed. So he's the kind of candidate that could do that, it seems like. So where some people love him and some people hate him. Now, look at Clinton, for example. I'm not a big fan of Miss Clinton, at least for president. I hope she does well in life, but I didn't want her as our president. Anyway, but people don't feel too badly about her, right? They don't feel too badly about her, right? I mean, nobody thinks she's terrible. Everybody's got her. Like, a lot of people think, yeah, she's one of the best too. You know, these 49 people think she's best, right? And, what am I doing? I do the wrong thing. It's not this two, it's these, huh? Yeah, 49 people think she's best, and the other, 51 and 50, 151 think she's second best. It sure seems like, as a whole crowd, they're more favorable, as considering everybody, they're more favorable to Clinton, if that was the way things went. I'm not saying that's the truth. I don't know what the truth is. But in that setup anyway, they'd be more favorable to Clinton than they would to Trump, even though Trump's getting the most first place. So I just want to give you an example that there are problems in some of the ways you can do voting. You need to use math to kind of help get at what really is the will of the people. I mean, how can math help us, say, in this voting situation? How do you know what really is? I mean, we can kind of be touchy-feely and go, Clinton seems pretty high in everybody's opinion. It could be Clinton, right? And I would say probably is in that situation. That would be true. So, anyway, how can we use math to help better determine the will of the people when your opinion about something is more than just who you like best, isn't it? You have more feelings than just who you like best. So, with that in mind, let's dive in. So we have various systems for determining the will of the people as we go. Okay, so plurality. So that's an important word we're going to talk about a lot. A plurality means the most first place votes. That's what plurality means. That's different. I want to help you to distinguish the terms. Majority, how is majority different than plurality? What does majority mean?
The amount of first place votes you get.
Well, what about first place votes?
Like the amount, like the more you get.
Something about a particular amount of them.
Yeah.
Well, majority means it has to be over 50%
Exactly.
of the total, whereas plurality is just relative.
Right. So majority is more than 50% of first place votes. Yeah. So they'll throw those words around, so you want to be clear what they're talking about. So plurality. So like, the one I just did back over here, I'll go back to this, but right, Trump had 51. That wasn't more than half. There's 150 people that voted. So 51 wasn't more than half of 150, right? But he still got a plurality. He got more than anybody else got. He just didn't get more than half. And that's what's happening all the time in the recent last, 12 years of elections for us. Nobody gets more than half, but they get more than the other candidate, huh? That's what's always happening. Not like the olden days, there'd be somebody gets 69% of the vote. More than they really win big. Anyway, is that good? Does that make sense? So watch out for those words. Plurality is more than anybody else. Majority is more than half. So if you have a majority, you for sure have a plurality. Did you track with that? Because if you have more than half, well, then you clearly have more than anybody else because you got more than half. How could anybody else have more than you? Right? So majority is a stronger word than plurality. You with me? The same thing with our presidential elections, right? We haven't had a president win by a majority in a long time. I can't remember when. Maybe back with Clinton, Mr. Clinton. Anyway, I don't remember when. More than 50%. It's been a long time. Everybody always wins they have under 50%, but they just have more than the other people, huh? Anyway, right, so different words. I'll throw those around. Make sure you're aware of those. Last, question C. Which candidate has the fewest last place? I don't know. Just count them. Who has the fewest last? Look, it's easiest to look here. Who has the fewest? Who's got fewest third choice? Who's not even there? B's not even there. There's nobody put B last, huh? Everybody put B first or second, huh? B's kind of one of those candidates that everybody likes. Nobody really loves. Only 4 people think B's the best. But nobody really hates B. B's not a divisive candidate. He or she doesn't divide. So anyway, B has the fewest last place. There's no B's on the bottom, right? C, you with me? C has 5 last place votes. 5 people put C last, and 11 people put A last, huh? But nobody put B last. B has the fewest last place votes. Making sense how to read those charts? Okay, so this is what we always do in every chapter. We start with a problem in society like this, like how do we wisely and fairly determine the will of the people? And then to do that, then we go, yeah, how are we going to do this? We have to first realize there is a problem, there is a need for something to be done wisely for society. And then we say, all right, we need some tools, some math tools to do this job. Well, here's our math tool for this chapter, preference schedules. We need to have schedules of what people prefer if we're going to determine the will of the people. Can you all read that okay? I could have made it bigger. Well, the table's big enough, huh? An election is held to choose the chair of a department at a university. The candidates are Professor, ABC. The following table gives the preference schedules. Use the table to complete A through C. Oh, so, yeah, how many people, I should have answered all the different questions that your homework will ask you. Feel free to do some people do their homework right in class with their phone or their laptop. Feel free to do so. I want you to use your time as efficiently as possible. Some people just want to focus, but whatever you prefer. A lot of people bring their laptop and they get it done because your questions will be the same with just different numbers. Be identical with just different numbers. So if you want to do yours as we go along, feel free to do so. So, all right. So it's asking how many people voted in this election. How did I come up with 17 there? Yeah, I just added these numbers. Total equals, what is that? Oh, yeah, 8, 10, 8, 17. Yeah, so I just added them, right? That's the total number of people right there at the top. Okay. How many first place votes are needed for a majority? Remember what majority means again? More than half. So you got to take 0.50 or 0.50% of the 17, and you'll get 8.5, won't you? So that means you got to round it because you can't have 8.5 votes. So you got to round it to 9. So 9 will be more than half. 8 will be under half. So more than half, majority will be 9 votes, huh? That's how I came up with that answer. Does that make sense? I just cut it. I could just divide by 2. You didn't do 0.5. You could just divide by 2. Same thing, 8.5 and round it to the nearest whole number. Okay. Part C. If it came down to a choice between A and C, which one would get more votes? Yeah, that's an important skill because when we get into the different techniques, we're going to basically present 4 different techniques here in a minute. And you're going to want to be able to do like a head-to-head thing. So let me show you how to do that. What if it just came down with A to C head-to-head? What if for whatever reason B just dropped out of the election? B was found to be cheating on his taxes, so B had to withdraw from the election. The IRS reported him. He's a cheater. Get him out of there. So it's just down to A and C now. Who would win the election if it was just down to A and C? Well, how many votes would A get and how many votes would C get? How many, out of all those people, how many prefer A over C? Well, the first 6, right? You with me? These 6 prefer A over C, don't they? These 2 prefer A over C, don't they? And these 2 also prefer A over C. That's 10 people. The last 7 prefer C over A. So it'd be, if it was just comes down to A and C, this is how people feel. This is their preferences. We know how they feel. And B drops out of the election. Then 10 people would prefer A over C. We call that a head-to-head matchup. Like I said, some of the techniques we're going to look at, and probably tomorrow, we'll have some head-to-head. That's one of the techniques, is basically have everybody battle head-to-head and see how the people feel. That's one of the ways they've tried to make it really fair. As they said, well, who do they like better, A and C? Okay, who do they like better, A and B? Who do they like better? They'll have us do all the one-to-one head-to-heads. So if it came down to just A versus C, like, hey, people, you people, it's just A and C, like I did with this. Which one do you like better? There's just 2 choices. They'd say, well, we prefer A. If it's just A and C, we prefer A. That's how they feel, right? A would get 10, C would get 7. That makes sense? How to do that? And actually do it. So, okay. So, big table, lots of numbers. Now, they want us to use the plurality method. We're going to have 4 methods. That's the first method. That's exactly what we already do for the presidential election. Just who's got the most first place. But whenever you see the word plurality, we're going to use plurality a lot in some of these techniques. Plurality means first choice. So that's what we're doing in the national election. We're just saying Who do you like first? We don't even ask who do you like second or third or fourth. We just say, who's your favorite? Who's your first choice? So, all right, so let's do that. That's called plurality. So plurality, most first place. We don't even care about second place, third place, fourth place, just like the national election. That's called plurality. That's one method, and we'll talk about, we've already talked about, that can seem unfair in some situations. Doesn't seem like it truly gets the will of the people. So let's take a look. So if we were doing plurality election, who would win the election? Well, you just got to add up their first place votes. It's kind of tedious. You got to have a calculator. You guys have a calculator? How many would A get? How many first place votes does A get? Well, A gets that 150. A gets that 116. A gets that 94. Is that it? Yeah. Is that 360?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then B, then we would do B, 203, 103. 203, 103, and 46.
352.
Thank you. 352. And C would be 183, 177. Is it 360 again, huh? Well, yeah, plus A and C tied. I should have known that. And then D would be the 142 and the 105. 247. Okay, so there's first place. All I'm counting, I didn't even look down to second, third, or fourth, right? I just looked right across this top. Everybody see what I did there? All I did is first place. How many first place votes did the different candidates get? That's exactly what we do in a national election, huh? All we ask is who's your first choice. So, who would win the election? Well, it looks like A and C tied. That's why the answer was A and C. They tied for first place votes, okay? So then we need a tie-breaking rule. Now, they're just going to make up tie-breaking rules here. I'm not going to test you on tie-breaking rules. So we'll do these quick. These are not on the test. One tie-breaking rule says that if there's more than one alternative with a plurality of first place votes, then the tie is broken by choosing the alternative with the fewest last. So that's one thing. They're saying, hey, if it's a tie, pick the candidate. Here's a way to break the tie. Pick the candidate who has the fewest last place votes. So it's A or C, right? A or C. So how many last does A have, and how many last does C have? Now I'm just looking at last, huh? How many put A last? These 103. These 105. 103 and 105. Is that 208? 208 people think A is the worst, right? Put A last. How many put C last? How many think C is the worst? Those 116. Those 203. And that's it, huh? 319. 319 thinks C is the worst. So, if you're going to, in a tie, if you're going to give it to the one who's hated the least, who's got the fewest last place, you'd give it to A, because A only had 208, not 319 last place votes. That's why they have A here. That makes sense? The next one basically says if there's candidate ties broken head-to-head, I forget. Oh, well, I don't know what I can't even read it. Now, that might seem like the same thing to you, but it's not. So question C is saying, all right, A and C tied, yeah. So one way you can break the tie, part B, said you can break the tie by just taking who has the fewest last. But question C says, here's another way. You could just do a head-to-head battle. Now, what do they mean by head-to-head? Remember, that's drop the other candidates out. Head-to-head means just two people. So drop out, we're doing A and C, so drop out B and D. 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 B and D drops out of the race. Okay, and we're just doing A to C head-to-head. That's not the same thing as fewest last. It's just A versus C. So if it's just A versus C, I just dropped B and D. That's what a head-to-head means. Everybody else drops out. All right, so how many, let's count them. So these 150, who do they prefer, A or C? These 150, if it's just between A and C, we'll take A, thank you. Of course, A's been their favorite all along. How about these 116? They want A. They've always wanted A. It's 94, they've always wanted A. These 203, who do they like better, A or C? Now, they don't like A or C very much, but if it's down to A or C, they'd prefer A. C is their least favorite candidate. How about the 103 here? Who do they prefer, A or C? They have C over A. How about these 46? Who do they prefer, C or A? C. Everybody see where I'm doing? How about these 183? Who do they prefer, C or A? C is their favorite. And 177, they've always liked C. 142, A or C? A. And lastly, the 105, A or C? C. Look at that. So you got to add all those up. So I guess the higher number is A, because A over here, 1. That's head to head, right? Drop the other candidates out. Just add them up head to head. Everybody see how I did that? So those are just 2 tiebreaker rules. I'm not going to ask you tiebreaker rules. But it's still a valuable exercise in learning how to do head-to-head things and think about last and first, because those will be in other techniques. All right. Okay, so here we go. So we're supposed to determine on this one the results of the election using board account. So we're going to do a new way now. They're going to have us determine the election a new way. What is that? So we've already seen some of the unfairness, right, of the plurality system when all you think about is first place votes. Remember back here with the Trump thing? Right? If all you think about is who got the most first place, Trump would win this election. 51 people, more than Clinton or any of the other candidates, more first place than any other candidates. Trump got more, but look, Trump is hated by 2/3 of the crowd. So maybe Trump's not really, truly the will of the people. Probably Clinton is more. Clinton is first or second in everybody's feeling. So probably Clinton is more liked in general by the people, right? Trump only has 2 more that put him first place, and Clinton has the other 100 people that think she's second at least, really good, whereas 99 think Trump's the worst. So wouldn't you agree with me? The plurality method in this case, giving the election to Trump, saying that's the will of the people, doesn't seem like it to me. That's not a very faithful system, math system, for determining the will of the people. So we need some new methods. So let's investigate one of them. What would be a method that would really help with this? Somehow we need to give weight to the fact that these people can't stand Trump, and weight to the fact that everybody thinks pretty well of Clinton here, right? We need to give weight to all of that, don't we? How can we do that? Just make up a point system. Oh, sorry, were you going to answer? Yeah, exactly what they did. I mean, yeah, it's not anything way out there. They just made a point system. That's exactly what they did. They just basically said, look, let's do this. We'll give you, if there's 6 candidates, we'll give you 6 points for first place, 5 points for second place, 4 points, 3, 2, and 1 point for last place. The higher the ranking, the more the points. They said, we'll just do that, and then we'll just add up the points. And that'll be the will of the people. The more points you get, the more you're liked. The less points you get, the less you're liked. When you're put first, that's the most. It's almost like a GPA calculation or something, right? 4 points for an A, 3 points for a B, 2 points for a C, and 1 point for a D, none for an F. And what do? You multiply that by the number of units, right? So it's a 3-unit class. Whatever grade you get will be multiplied by 3 because you're getting that for each of those 3 units. Well, that's what we'll do for the voters. Like Trump would get 6 points times 51 voters. 51 people gave Trump first place, which means 6 points. If there's 6 candidates, it's however many candidates is the top number. Now there's 6 candidates, then Trump would get 6 points for a first place vote. 6 times 51. 49 people would only give him 1 point. These last place votes are only worth 1, and 50 people only give him 1. Then we just add up his total, then we'd add up Clinton's total and everybody's total, and whoever's got that most points wins. That's the will of the people. It's an attempt to try to figure out the will of the people more faithfully. Well, let's go back and do it on this example, wherever we're at. This one. Let's determine the will of the people that way. So these 9, how many candidates in this election? 4 candidates. So the points for first place, there's 4. It's almost like GPA. Second, third you get 2 points. Fourth, you just get 1 point, right? However many candidates, that's the number of points for first place. You with me? So let's figure out how many total points A gets. Can we do that? So A gets, so these 9 people, they put A first. So that's 9 people times 4 points each for A. Is that good? It's going to be 36 total points. You use your calculator to do all this, right? Is that good? Let's see how I'm coming up with those numbers. Because first place gets you 4 points. Here's the points. Get you 4, 3, 2, and 1. These 4 people put A third, which means 2 points each. So 3 people giving 2 points each. Makes sense? Oh, was that 3? That was 4 people. Sorry, I'm messing this up. 4 people gave 2 points each. Now 3 people give 1 point each. 3 people give 1, and 2 people give 2. Kind of running out of, let me do A over here. I'm running out of room. 9 times 4, 4 times 2, 3 times 1, 2 times 2, 36, 40, 8, 51? Did I do that right? Is it 51? I think so. Everybody see how I'm doing that? You want to try B? Give B a try. See how many points you can get for candidate B. Total points. So it's the number of people times the points for that ranking. Just add them all up. So if we do B, nine people times 3 points. Good so far? Those 9 people each put B second, which is a 3-point thing. These 4 people put B last, which is 1 point. These 3 people put B here, which is 2 points. And these 2 people put B last, which is 1 point. Okay, so we add that up. So 27, 31, 37, 30, is it 39? What y'all got? Is that good on that? I'm going to try C. Just keep going. How many, oh, this method, by the way, is called Borda count. I don't know, maybe Borda was sounds like a French name. A lot of French people came up with some of this. Weren't they one of the first democratic systems in France? I don't know. I don't know my history that well. So anyway, somebody named Borda came up with this Borda count.
You said Borda?
Borda, yes, on the board. I underlined it there. Borda, B-O-R-D-A, Borda count. So this is our second method so far. There's going to be 4 total. So we had plurality. That's what the national election, just first place. Now we're at Borda count. This is a second way of determining the will of the people. So can you do C there for the Borda count method? So this is a little more tedious than the last method for sure. 9 people put C third. 9 times 2. 4 people put C right here. 9, 4 times 4. 3 people put C here at 3 times 3. 2 people put C there. 18, 16, what is that? 34, 44, 43, and 60. Is it 49? Is that the right total? Is that okay to there? You all tracking with me? And then finally D. To candidate D. So we'll go through and do candidate D. So these 9 people. Put D at the bottom. These 4 people put D right here, 4 times 3. These 3 people put D at the top. And these 2 people put D at the top. Is that 41? Did I do that right? You guys getting that? All right. So so there's the results. So who won that election? By board account, it would be A with 51. That's more points than anybody else has, right? Second place would be C, and you could rank them first, second, third, fourth on that. Is that good? So that's called board account, giving more points to higher ranked candidates and less points to lower ranked candidates times the number of voters who feel that way. So it's kind of you can sense the goodness of this system because it gives weight to everything, doesn't it? It doesn't just consider first place like Plurality did. Really, board account's my favorite. I mean, we're going to come up with 2 others, which are pretty kind of complex. I think board account's pretty darn good. I mean, it gives weight to everything, more points for higher, less points for lower. Every ranking and every candidate and every voter and all their feelings are considered. Seems like it does a good job on getting the will of the people. And that can do some surprisingly funny, strange things. We'll see as we go. But for now, let's just say it's our second way. So everybody making sense out of this chapter so far? We're going to have 4 different ways of determining the will of the people. Right now we just have 2. Plurality and board account. Plurality just considers what? First place, right? Plurality just considers first place. It doesn't matter your second, third, fourth. And what does board account do? Yeah, considers everything, points for everything. Yeah. And how do you know where the points start? Like, what's the highest point value? How do you determine that? Like, why did I start at 4 points?
Because there's 4 choices.
Because there's 4 choices. Yeah, it's the number of choices or candidates, right? Good. All right, let's go on to part B here. If you all got that down, copy down. Okay, this will be on YouTube later if I'm going too quick. So, part B says, suppose that before the votes are counted, B is declared ineligible. B was cheating on his or her taxes. Find the new preferences. So if B drops out, basically, boom, 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 boom. So if B drops out, what's that going to do? Do you realize these 2 will become the same? They're both DCA now. Do you see that? If B drops out, then these 3 people and these 2 people will become 5 people who all feel DCA. Oops. Right? Everybody see that? So that's all they're asking you to do. The 9 and the 4 is the same. They're just saying, hey, what will be our new schedule if B drops out? Well, if B drops out, it'll be the schedule right here. Right? Not good? So nothing too amazing. Okay, so now they're going to say, okay, suppose B dropped out. Now, does it really matter that B, was B like going to win the election? Back when we were here, let's go back. Who won with the board account method? How did B do? Like close? B's last place. So who cares, right? B is not an important candidate, right, in the board account method. B is not the will of the people, clearly. B is the least will of the people. So anyway, so B drops out. B's out. Bye-bye, B. And now we have this schedule. So let's do board account one more time, okay? So board account one more time, unfortunately. It'll be a little easier this time. It's a smaller table. So let's do board account. Board account again. This time B is out. B is out of the picture. So let's do it again, coming on down to this right here. How many candidates now? Now there's 3 candidates. So the points go 3 for first place, 2 and 1, huh? You don't start at 4 anymore because there's not 4 candidates anymore. There's only 3. So you get 3 points for first place, then 2, then 1. Okay, so how many does A get now? 9 times 3. Good. Can you keep going? Can you get the rest of A plus? These 4 people put A last, 1 point. And these 5 people put A last. 1. Is that 36 points? So A gets 36 points. Is that okay? Am I racing ahead? Can you do B now? No, B's out. No, we can't do B. How about C? We'll go on to C. Can we do C in the board account? So go back and do C now. Nine people put C second. 4 people put C first. So 3 points. 4 people put C at 3 points. And 5 people put C at 2 points. 18, 28. I think that's 40 points, isn't it? Good so far. Am I racing ahead of you? Can we do D now? And we'll finish up this board account. Whoops. So now do D. These 9 people put D at 1 point. These 4 people put D at 2 points. And these 5 people put D at 3 points. Nine, 24, and 8. Is it 32? I think. Is that it? Yeah. We good to there? Is that okay? Questions I can answer on those details? So now what's meant to happen at this point is that you take in the big picture. And we did all these detailed little add up number calculations. But step back for a second. Step back. We're doing the board account system, which sure, it does to me, it sure seems fair. It seems more fair than the plurality, right? Plurality is like the national election. All we care about is your first choice. Who's your favorite? We don't care about second, third, or how much you hate these other candidates. Just who's your favorite. That's all we want to hear about. Well, that seems to be problematic. It seems like you might not really get the honest will of the people as faithfully, using that math system, as maybe board account, because board account takes into consideration all their feelings, all their preferences, from top to bottom, right? So, if that's the case, considering all their preferences top to bottom, who, back when everybody was in the race, back there, who won the election? When they were all in the race? A. Now, the board account seems fair, doesn't it? Seems pretty fair. Who won we did the board account method, who won the election? Imagine it's a real election. A, B, C, and D, they're running, right? The people, the tabulators add it all up, and they go, A wins. A wins. 51 votes. A wins the election. And then all of a sudden, somebody finds out that B's been cheating on his taxes or whatever. And they go, oh, no, no, no. B is out of this election. Out. Let's go back and count them again. That's what basically just happened, right? Now, when they show these results from the first time, back when they thought B was allowed to be part of the office, and B came in last, I mean, that's a nobody. The fact that B's dropping out doesn't matter. Think about if you're A. You were just declared the winner by the system they're using, board account. You were just declared the winner. And then they go, oh, no, no, no. We forgot B was a cheater on his taxes. We got to pull B out of the election. Let's count him again. If you're A, what are you thinking? I won. B's out. Who cares about B? B wasn't even close. Okay? So they redo it, right? We take the chart, right? Now B's out. So and nobody's changed their feelings, right? We didn't change anybody's feelings. We just said you can't have B anymore, right? Because B's not allowed to run. So we just dropped B out. We didn't move around anybody's feelings, did we? We're assuming their feelings remain the same, their preferences, right? So we just dropped B out, got a new preference chart, right? And we redid the board account method. Now who won?
C.
How would you feel if you're A? You won the election. They announced it back here. You win, A. You win. Oh, wait a minute. B was illegal candidate, so drop him out. B's out. Out with B. Well, who cares? B only got 39. Isn't like B was a competitor or somebody close that really mattered. B's out. B's what we call an irrelevant person. It's irrelevant. Then they recount. Nobody's feelings change. They just drop B out. Now, oh, that changes the election results. You no longer win, A. How would you hear A? You'd be like, what? What kind of system are you using? I win, then this nobody drops out who was last place. You recount it, nobody's feelings change, and somehow I don't win anymore? How could the dropping out of a nobody make me go from winning to losing? No, nobody's votes change, right? Those are the same ballots. We didn't ask for a revote. We just recounted the same ballots with B out of the race now. And if you were A, you'd be like, what? I won. The last place person drops out or is kicked out. You recount the very same ballots, not new ballots, and now I don't win? You'd feel like, what kind of bogus system are you using? Lawsuit. That's what happened earlier, right? Right? Now, that sheds a little concern on the board account method, doesn't it? That seems a little bogus, doesn't it? That seems like, what's going on there? That result has got a name. We go back here. That's called the independence of irrelevant alternatives criterion. That's a fancy name for such a thing. So let me pass it. I've got some notes that'll help so you don't have to write everything down. It's kind of for this chapter. I won't hardly do this for any other chapter, but this chapter's got a lot of words. It's nice just to have this. So it will. Got that one and some other ones we'll look at in the next couple days. So that's called the independence of irrelevant criterion because B is irrelevant, right? B was last place. Who cares about B? B should not be important. B should not be relevant. But somehow B came out mattering. B was not independent, right? B should be independent. It should have nothing to do with B. Independent of irrelevant, B's an irrelevant alternative, right? Hardly anybody voted for B. B's an irrelevant alternative. So if B drops out, that should be independent. That our results should not depend upon that. Our results should be independent from that. It just feels right. that the winner wouldn't change just because the last place person drops out. That feels unfair, doesn't it? And that's what we're basically saying. Where is that one? On the third page. On the third page, we've got the 4 fairness ideas. They're called, I don't know what they're called. Criterion. They're all called criterion. They're basically fair. If you want to write up there, fairness ideas or whatever. You get a 3x5 card for the test, for all the tests. You get a 3x5 card. Write whatever you want on both sides of that 3x5 card. I'm not really into a lot of memorization. You can just that you understand the concepts. I don't think memorizing is really very important. So write on there any words you need to help, for the questions on the exam about things like this. And so, yeah, independence of irrelevant alternatives. That says if a candidate is a winner and then one or more drop out, the original should still be the winner, right? That seems right, doesn't it? Whoever won the first time should win the second time when nobody drops out. But it didn't happen with board account. So that makes us a little suspicious of board account. That makes us feel like, oh, that's weird. That's not really totally fair. Doesn't feel fair anywhere, right? That violates our sense of fairness, doesn't it? Doesn't seem completely fair. So that means so far we've had 2 methods, plurality and board account, and there's things that seem unfair about both of them, have you noticed, right? The first method, plurality, seemed unfair because all it looked at was first choice. And we had the example with Trump where everybody else hated him, but he still won. It didn't really seem like that was the will of the people. And now with board account, which gives the points, it seemed like it was doing a good job of doing the will of the people, but then it does this weird thing where how could that change the will of the people? Just because the nobody B dropped out, why does that suddenly shift the will of the people to a different candidate? Doesn't seem like this method is doing a very good job on getting the will of the people. So why we're doing math on this is because we want something fair. We don't want this unfairness, weird stuff to be in our systems. Does that make sense? That's why they kept looking for new wet methods. And so with that, we're on to our third method. We're going to have, as you see, here's the game plan. When we're all said and done, four fairness ideas and 4 methods. We're going to have 4 ways of determining the winner and 4 ideas of fairness that may be violated by these different methods. We're trying to get something that's completely fair to determine the will of the people. That's the desire, anyway. Okay, so this is section 1.2. In fact, actually, let me